The mainstream media loves the taxpayer's dollar.
But Peter, I think you're most interested potentially in the phrasing of some of this report. They write, news media, talking about Canada, continue to benefit from public funding. How much did you adore that line, Peter?
Oh, I loved it. Why not? Right? Like it's amazing. Thinking, 10 years ago, the idea of taking public subsidy within media was anathema. It was just like no, 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 no. That would never happen. And now it's celebrated, right? With the terminology. Also, the author of the Canadian part is the chair of the committee at CRA that approves which Canadian news outlets qualify for funding. So there's no objection anymore. Everybody's just rolled through and within 10 years completely shifted the moral foundation upon which Canadian journalism stands. And it's quite remarkable to see. But yeah, it's cheerful. Yeah, hey, they can benefit from public funding, right? Like rather than they benefit from, public readership, right? Or something like that. It's kind of cool. Like once you're subsidized, why would you change, right? Like there's no incentive whatsoever or there's a less and less incentive because there is still some incentive for sure to serve the reader when you can get your money for nothing.
Money for nothing and your chicks for free. And this is all coming out around the same time that Travis Donraj resigned over claims of abusive work culture. By the way, the CBC is refusing to accept this. And now officially, the Conservatives are calling for immediate committee hearings into the CBC for forcing the resignation of Travis Donraj. The CBC is again accused of workplace harassment and biased reporting. Can we all finally agree that the taxpayer-funded media is unworkable and without trust in today's biased, partisan, and divisive media ecosystem? The government should not be sending tax dollars to any media group or news organization, period. And this article is hilarious, literally coming from the CBC. CBC host Travis Donraj says he was silenced and forced to resign after raising systemic issues. When I pushed for honest conversations about systemic issues and editorial imbalance, I was shut out, sidelined, silenced, and ultimately erased. He accused his employer of tokenism, masquerading as diversity, problematic political coverage protocols, and the erosion of editorial independence. They not only need to be investigated, they need to just be shut down. Stop pouring millions of dollars into a system that is so incredibly biased. The Liberals constantly told the entire country that the Conservatives would bring major cuts. They used this as a fear-mongering tactic so people would vote for the Liberals instead, believing that the Conservatives would bring major cuts to healthcare, education, transportation, etc. And well, it looks like that's happening anyway.
Certainly the quietest anyway, given that we're just getting these numbers now. Here are those numbers there. Over 10,000 full and part-time staff layoffs at Ontario's 24 colleges. And as mentioned, more than 600 programs in total canceled or suspended. This has been long discussed, but we're getting these numbers now finally. And as far as the reason, certainly the international students playing a big part in that. First off, they were paying higher tuition fees than anyone else. There was a 342% surge in international students coming to colleges here in Ontario between 2012 and 2021. That is something the union is blaming colleges for. They say that they put all their eggs in that one basket. They were making a lot of money from international students. They were creating a lot of executive roles with that money, various vice presidents and deans.
They were creating a lot of executive roles. So it sounds like a lot of people were getting paid large salaries to pretty much do a lot of nothing. Because international students have to pay easily more than double, the schools were just bringing in as many as they could, and they were banking on it big time. You would then see a giant ratio change from international students to actual Canadian students. Once again, money being the big factor.
And now that the government has put in a cap on the amount of international students allowed into the country, the equivalent of basically a 35% reduction of those international students, they find themselves needing more money to operate, and that's why they find themselves now making the cuts that we just described. So, OPSU, the union, will be holding a rally today with members and leadership at the Story Arts Center, the Centennial College Story Arts Center, which is scheduled to shut down sometime in 2026. Union leadership will be there speaking to us. We will hear more from them, as well as members affected by all this.
And while it says 600 plus programs have been suspended or canceled, and over 10,000 staff have been laid off in the past year, I'm wondering how many of those programs were actually beneficial to society to begin with. There's a lot of random liberal arts programs popping up that realistically are probably only there for monetary gain. Anyway, I'd like to know what you think down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you are new, and thank you very much for watching.